Hello, we'd like to talk to you about a programme that has helped us make our podcast from the Free Speech Union, the McTaggart Programme. It's a grant-giving programme administered by the Free Speech Union to promote free speech and open debate amongst young people aged 16 to 30.
In the 2 years, the McTaggart programme has supported an array of new and existing student societies, as well as a range of individual awards to seek to promote free speech. The programme is not just interested in supporting formal debates.
It is also interested in supporting students to set up their own podcasts, create content, organise socials on campus or in their local area, and travel to events elsewhere in the country, a bit like us.
They are open to hearing about ideas for performances, exhibitions, research projects, and other creative endeavours.
Their merit is very flexible, as long as recipients of funding adopt an open and inquiring attitude towards ideas, that their own and others.
To find out more and apply, please visit freespeechunion.org/grants. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Conversation Cabinet. I'm Ethan Pearman.
And I'm Joshua Eames.
And today we've got a slightly different episode for you. We've got a 2-week recap with the owner of Simple Politics, Tatton. How are you doing today?
Yes, I'm doing very well, thank you. This was lovely listening. You've just missed out on the most slick key change you've ever heard. These two were chatting away, having a nice bit of chat before we got going, and then suddenly it was, welcome to the podcast. We are doing this. And, hi, I'm Ethan, and this is Josh. And Josh,
like
hi,
to keep it nice and chill.
It's completely.
You've got to keep it professional.
You have to keep it professional.
This is why Simple Politics struggles so hard. We haven't got this level of professionalism in our hearts.
Or this level of boredom.
Yeah.
Sends people to sleep. Well, on that cheery note, Tatton, just before we get into the nitty-gritty of the past 2 weeks in politics, could you just tell us a little bit about what you guys do at Simple Politics? I mean, it's incredible how you break down such difficult ideas.
So I set up Simple Politics 10 years ago, and since then, politics has been doing its thing with Brexit and the pandemic and the cost of living crisis in modern Europe and all the rest of the stuff. And I've just been plodding along mostly on Instagram. We've got 1.3 million followers across all platforms, not quite a million, in fact, not quite 900,000 anymore on Instagram. It's very sad times. We aim to be your friend talking to you about what's going on. We're not there to hector. We're not there to correct or discipline or anything like that. Just a bit of chat. And you're very kind to say that we distill simple things down, complex ideas. I don't think of it like that. I don't think of myself as a simplifier. I just a chatter. And naturally, when you talk about things, they become easier to understand because that's what chat does. You know, it's not a work presentation. It's conversation.
I'm just covering that. I mean, first of all, I couldn't tell you work for Simple Politics. I mean, just from the view of it, there's no indication whatsoever that you work for Simple Politics. I couldn't tell.
I'd just be a big fan, wouldn't I? I'd be a really big fan if we were all like that.
Yeah. So if we're going to go on the first topic, I'd say the most relevant right now is the recognition of the Palestinian state by Keir Starmer yesterday. Can you give us first thoughts on that? What are you thinking about that?
Well, it's a terrible place to start because this is something I'm particularly angry about. I'm not angry about the decision to have done it. I'm angry about the way it has been portrayed and the way it's been done and the way. Who really knows what recognizing a state means, right? We can all have a fundamental idea of how it feels to say, yes, that is a country and we stand by that being a country. That kind of makes sense. But beyond that, nobody knows. And when I got a press release through from Downing Street about it, and basically all it said was, we're doing it, isn't that good? But what does it mean? I'm not an expert in geopolitics. I don't know what it really means. If you go onto Wikipedia, it gets really complicated very quickly. So you've got a lot of people who are very angry this morning. A lot of papers talking to the Jewish groups in particular who are saying this is an outrage. People talking about how it's giving Hamas an advantage. People talking about, on the other side, saying that at last we're doing something that we should have done. And all of those are right, but those opinions lie exactly along the lines of biases towards this war, genocide in Gaza, right? So there's nothing new. So what does this mean? And if it is important, and I get that it is, why are you releasing it on a Sunday afternoon, a time that nobody knew? I was told on Friday that a big announcement was coming on Sunday. Over the weekend, in fact, it's like, if there was to be a big, you have to play this game. If there was to be a big announcement, when might it be? It might be on Sunday. So it was a video announcement. So no journalist could ask a question. It wasn't on the House of Commons, so no opposition parties could ask a question. It's just kind of built up as this major announcement, but then snuck out the back door in a way that benefits nobody, except possibly for the Prime Minister, who can kind of do it and run away. It's not democratic. It's not accountable. It's not. It's making an effort to engage with the people who's I can't even find the words. It's not making an effort to engage with the people who he needs to engage with. So it's further playing into echo chambers, whatever. And I hate it. I really hate it. And again, that is no comment on whether we should actually do it or not. I mean, if it's going to stop the genocide in Palestine, it needs to happen. Right?
Yeah.
But is it? I don't know. Do you know? Do you know if it's going to help?
No.
But
I mean, it reinforces the idea of this collective thing on the global stage about a two-state solution. Do you not think that reinforcement is worth something, even if it is done in this?
For a long time, people have been saying, "Do it now," and then the government will say, "We'll do it when it's the right time to do it." Hold on, people, we're going to do it at the right time. And there is this big United Nations meeting this week, so it must be because of that. It doesn't feel like us doing it at the moment is going to make a step change. So why not have done it before when we said we're going to wait for the right moment? What makes this really the right moment? And is it going to cut through? Because actually, in politics, in everything in politics, the only things that matter are the things that make a difference, right? That's it. So is this going to edge us closer to stopping that situation in Gaza? If so, brilliant. And if not, stop posing.
Yeah. It's like when you read the news articles talking about how RAF have, like, not even funded, but used their own airplanes to do reconnaissance missions surrounding the West Bank. And it just makes you feel like, is any of this ever going to change? It feels like this is a repeated cycle process where we're going over and over again, where you've now got a bargaining method where, they're not necessarily doing it because they want to recognize the state of Palestine, but it just feels like it's another way of them getting in the good books, if you will.
A negotiating tactic, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like we've started off in terms of geopolitics and world affairs, I am the worst person to have on your podcast, I'm afraid. I do not understand it. We have a really clear UK only rule on Simple Politics because we don't know anything else. And what this country does not need is more ill-informed voices on things.
Yeah.
Right?
We've got a bit too many of those.
We got plenty of those. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to Parliament, not at all when it comes to the world. So my ire is held for the methodology, the way it's been done. If we're talking about the last 2 weeks, it might just this theme will come up again because it's something that upsets me.
So you think you agree with the sentiment behind it, but you think it's taken too long and they've done it in the wrong way when they've done it and shoved it out the back door?
If it's the right thing to do, I don't know. I approve of the sentiment if it's the right thing to do, right? If they're doing it because it's going to make a difference, then yes. No, but not allowing people or politicians or journalists the time to speak to them. Like, you had this really odd thing when Deputy Prime Minister was on Koonsberg on Sunday morning, but they hadn't announced it yet. So they kind of danced around it a little bit because it wasn't sure, even though everybody in that room knew what was just open and transparent. That's all I want. And we're not doing that.
I think that leads us to something that we were talking about, me and Ethan were talking about earlier, is Labour's comms strategy. Do you think that's kind of lacking, especially in such important scenarios, such as declaring that we recognise Palestine as a state?
I don't think they have a strategy, really. Like,
that's polite.
I think that they've recently chosen to engage with new media And so I now have a lot more access than I did like even 6 months ago, because they're lazy and they go SP. Oh, let's do that. But they haven't begun. Like, that counts as a strategy in and of itself, rather than thinking about how it works. I was just flicking through Instagram just before I came on here, and I saw people talking about beauty in a way that wouldn't have been even vaguely imaginable, and people kind of talking about cooking, and people doing all these different things in a brand new way because they're aiming to be engaging and speak to people on Instagram. But what's happened with politics? There's no new way. They're just people talking, right? And doing pretty much exactly the same as they would normally do. And so we're going to give work with Simple Politics, and we're going to give you an interview with this minister. Oh, that's nice. We'll do that. So right, but you have to give us all the questions we're going to ask first. But you're allowed 3 questions maximum, and it's like, you get to the point where we are being shepherded into a place where an interview on SP is exactly the same as any interview you've seen that politician do earlier that day. Except I'm not as good, because I'm not Nick Robinson. I'm not Laura Koonsberg. I'm not Beth Rigby, right? They are really good at doing that form of interview. I can't beat them at that. So what's the point? What's the point of them coming on, saying the same thing to me, being asked the same thing they've been asked all day? So their media strategy leans still almost entirely on TV and newspaper and radio. If a minister wants to say something big, they will write a letter in the Sun or the Mail or wherever they want to do it. They're still writing letters in the newspapers. So then fail to engage with people, right? And we see it. We see people who don't read. How many people read a newspaper? Actually, buy a newspaper and read it? Like, almost none.
I've never read one in my life.
Have you ever bought a newspaper?
No.
Never bought one, though.
Never bought a newspaper. Well, there we go.
We've had no need to.
Well, no, I'm aware that they exist on the internet, but still, that's the headspace, right?
Have you only seen that with Labour's comms, or is that something you've seen in politics
everyone.
generally?
It's everyone. They're all the same. I mean, in terms of engaging with us, not all parties have come forward and want to do that, like whatever. Like Reform haven't wanted to engage with us. Reform haven't, but they have most advanced media strategy in terms of engaging people.
Yeah.
Nigel Farage, I had another press conference today. He will sit there for an hour and take questions from the press and answer every question. Like, he will listen to it, think about it, and respond to every question. And look at the government. Never happens. And it's easier to do that when you're not in government, and it's you're not as accountable, right? Farage can pretty much say whatever he wants. He hasn't got a boss. He hasn't got whatever. He's got the electorate, I suppose, the good people of Clacton
that he sees on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Through his webcam. We need to wake up, and it doesn't have to. I'm not being egotistical. It doesn't have to be through me, but our politicians need to wake up and find a way to speak to people about things that matter, because they can't ignore a lot of people and then turn around and say, oh, well, they're not very engaged. Like blaming young people for not voting as if it's young people's fault that they're not engaged by things. Like, there is an onus on, you talk about Labour comms and government comms, I'd say, especially because they're in government, there is an onus on them to communicate. I often talk about PMQs, right? The most watched time in Parliament of the week, Wednesday lunchtime, right? That's their prime time slot when nobody can watch it. Like, they're not even thinking about it. Stick it on at Wednesday, 7 p.m. at least. And then people could watch it live. If they wanted, BBC One, live, 7 p.m. Wednesday, let's go. I would like to see it at the Manchester Arena. I'd like to see it live, taken on the road, have some debates and the people. Now, I've been told by people who are cleverer than me that that's not possible. But making an effort, if you've got your content, the Premier League ain't putting the big game on at lunchtime on a Wednesday. Right? Because they want eyeballs. You know, I know that if I'm putting something interesting out, I need to do it at certain slots in the week, but there is no attempt to communicate. And so, yeah, I mean, specifically, like in political terms, comms about, the messaging they're putting out. But no one's even hearing that messaging. People are just noticing that the NHS doesn't work. And they notice that SEND education doesn't work. And they notice that we just had a load of strikes. Now the doctors are striking. The bin workers are striking. That is noticed.
Mm.
The housing minister resigning because they didn't pay tax on her house is noticed. Even though there is more nuance than that. Of course, it's more nuanced than that. But that's what gets through.
Yeah, I think the biggest low for me was a couple of weeks ago, slightly on immigration, when Keir Starmer put on his Instagram story about his new process for immigration that he was deciding to do, saying how he's going to do I think it was about the one in, one out strategy.
Yeah.
And he put it on his Instagram story like he was a year 7 talking about like a breakup he's just gone through. And it's just like, is that really the best that our government has in communications with younger audiences to put it on an Instagram story?
Ethan, you and me are going to fight on this. I think it's great he put it on Instagram story.
Ooh.
I mean, it's got to
on
be
Instagram.
elsewhere too. It can't just be a 20-word policy. But yeah, you should put it on Instagram story. You should absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's going far enough because, maybe it's like it's because who is following, right? To see an Instagram story, you have to be following the number 10 or the Keir Starmer or whatever account. No one does. I mean, I know that if I put a story out, stories is like a really ineffective way of sharing a message.
Yeah, no one views them. We're speaking from experience here.
Yeah. So I've got a reasonable Instagram following. A story is where I'd hide my greatest secrets. I'd put them on a story and no one would ever know. But I like it when they try. Because they're intelligent. Like, people who work in comms at number 10 are really clever. So I don't know why it's so hard.
So why are they not engaging with people?
With people who don't engage in politics already. Yeah.
It's not an easy task, is it, to engage someone who couldn't give a stuff, or is too busy to actually engage thoroughly with political debate. So I guess that question of how they do it successfully is much harder than just why aren't you posting more, I guess. But I think
I think there's certainly evidence that people. I mean, I've got 1.3 million followers, and I've done it with zero money, zero resources, zero anything.
Yeah, we're just a little bit off that.
And I'm not cleverer than they are. They have intelligence and expertise and money like you wouldn't believe to do it. So it's not beyond. They could do it so much better than me, and they could if they wanted to.
Not that many people, as you said, will follow the Keir Starmer Instagram account or number 10 Instagram account. Not that many people hear the message of the one in, one out strategy that's just been released by the Labour government. But I mean, some people will like this new strategy. Some people will say it's going to, have a greater defence for our borders. We're going to be able to have more control. But do you think we're going to see a reality where we're going to have stronger borders from this?
I mean, it's just really hard, isn't it? Like, it's really, really hard. But what you're suggesting is that the return to this Brexit era narrative of people who didn't want to leave Europe would say, do you know what? I think that because I know we are paying out some money and we are taking some regulations, but with the trade and the movement of this, I think that on balance, yeah, we're better off in Europe. And people who want to leave the EU were going, out, go, run, move. And one of those arguments is more compelling than the other, right? And that's what we're getting, and that's what you were kind of slightly up against with the one in, one out scheme. Might it edge us somewhere towards something where people don't want to come over in those boats, and those boats are horrific? People don't want to come over in those boats. Maybe. I mean, we've started. We've put 3 have gone over as we record this. All 3 have been taken in commercial flights, and I think I've read somewhere you need 3 or 4, maybe even 5. Security guards on a commercial flight to deport someone on that flight. So, I mean, it's completely impractical to scale up commercial flights of these things. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I've also heard today, Farage was laughing about it. We just had this large 150,000 people in central London, marching. A lot of talk about immigration there. What we can do is really hard because we in the UK have this, quite frankly, amazing lifestyle, right? We even though the world's not perfect out here over here, it's pretty great, and there are some terrible things happening around the world, and people are going to want to come here. So how are we going to stop that? It's very hard. I mean, talking about stopping war, stopping climate change, stopping, people being abused for their religion or their sexuality or their gender. How are you going to stop all of that around the world is almost, I've got no idea. How we can stop people trying to come here, like the extremists, the idea of just turning boats around in the channel. We need France. We don't want to go to war with France, and we'd be putting people at risk in the channel. I mean, if I don't know how we can do it, maybe this one will work. It seems to be very, very small, and there's been no suggestion that's going to get bigger. This scheme, maybe, hopefully, let's hope, maybe. I say that not in a party political sense. It would be nice if we had a way of people not putting themselves at risk in that way. And we've sent 3 people over, but I haven't heard of the 3 we're taking in. Because we're going to take 3 in. The 1 in, 1 out includes the in bit. So we're going to take 3 people in, and we'll see how that works.
It seems like taking people in as well kind of defeats the point of us being overcrowded. That kind of rhetoric that's said so much amongst the right. So I don't really understand the thought process.
No, Josh. I mean, because overcrowding. I mean, again, this reform press conference today is about rescinding or abolishing indefinite leave to remain, which is about legal migration. Very few people who understand statistics think that that people are coming here in an irregular way are swamping the country. But the idea, it's all about this deterrent thing. We've been talking about deterrent such a long time because Rwanda was supposed to be a deterrent. People who come here irregularly in an illegal way risk being sent back again and taking that risk for nothing. Whereas we will take refugees who have a good chance of gaining asylum in our country. So we're promoting applying for asylum in France and not promoting relegating, that's not the word either, coming over, putting your life at the hands of a people smuggling arsehole, right? That's so that.
But do you think that's like enough? Do you think that Keir Starmer in putting this deterrent in place, do you think that he will then get a few of those voters towards the right? Because is it effective enough for that?
Yes, maybe. If we can scale it up, and if it works, that people know that they have a reasonable chance of returning to France, having made that journey, then they might not make that journey. And that's what we need to stop. Regardless, I mean, I'm sure Starmer's all about the votes as well, but for me, regardless of how people are voting or who's saying what, stopping people taking those crossings is really important for many, 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 many reasons, not least of which is the safety of the people who are making those crossings.
Exactly.
I just worry that won't be enough. I mean, we can see the public frustration at the Unite the Kingdom, rally in London. Just whether that even the prevention of the small boats coming over will be enough to stop people's frustrations with the people who have really come over.
I think there were a lot of reasons people were there. And there's always, when different governments are in, there's always different groups who are upset with them. I don't think that Starmer should be necessarily changing policies because of 125,000 people having a nice day out without even a single cause between them. It was Unite the Kingdom, wasn't it? Which doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
You could call this podcast the Unite the Kingdom podcast. We can talk about anything you wanted. Like, well, you're not tied in. It doesn't mean anything. There are people. There are some people won't vote for the Conservatives or Labour or whatever. Like, it's fine. People have their own opinions, but I don't think we should be writing legislation on to prevent small boat crossings because of something that Katie Hopkins says in London. There is a lot of frustration about, We've had a long, hard time through the pandemic and the cost of living crisis, and we need funds. The need for services funds for education, for health, for everything else has gone up and up and up and up, and the money we've got to pay for them has gone down and down and down. So the gap between the money we've got and the money we need to spend is wider than ever, and Rachel Reeves has to try and find some levers to pull, but there aren't levers to pull. Especially not because she said, I won't do this tax, I won't do that tax, which doesn't seem to have been a very sensible thing to have said.
Are you optimistic for this October budget?
No, I'm not optimistic. I'm not optimistic. I think she needs. People are very cross in very many ways, and I don't want to condemn 150,000 people. Some of them were racist, horrible people, 100%. Tommy Robson's a horrible person. Katie Thompson, Donald Fox, all of them, like whatever. But a lot of people on that march aren't. They just want that. I just want our country back, and that can mean so many things to so many people. I want our country back. I feel I want our country back, but not in a Tommy Robinson term. In terms of the budget, like what I think she'd have to go because she's been so clear what she won't do, and she's backed herself into such a corner. That if I was speaking to a economist over the weekend, because that's the kind of guy I am, right? I was speaking to an economist over the weekend, and I was saying she's left it because the budget's as late as it possibly could be this year, like the absolute last day it could be.
Really?
And I was saying she wants loads of time to think what she might do, and he said no, she wants loads of time to hope that something good happens. Right? She's just praying that something comes up. But with this stuff happening, I can't see, unless she pulls out an absolute blinder, I can't see how she's going to carry on writing budgets in the future. But no one can, because we're in this state. We are in this absolute state. There is no majority in this country to cut any spending anywhere. So all the MPs, there's nothing the MPs would agree on to cut. And there's also no way to go with more tax rises, and we can't borrow more. So what do? We get a bit sad.
Can't wait. It's gonna be
well. Yeah, I think that is where we're already at. But
just with this
sadly,
podcast, I know. I'm sorry.
Exactly. But do you think that Rachel, if she does go, just hypothetically, do you think that would be because she's removed or that she resigns? You think Keir Starmer has it in him to actually remove her? Because he didn't with Angela Rayner. He waited and then she did. So what do you see happening there?
I think that the line between resignation and being fired is very small. I'm not particularly into who's doing well and who's not doing well. Some people put a lot of stock into kind of the personalities. That's never been my jam. I think she's got an almost impossible job. And then when that job goes as badly as any impossible jobs do go, which is no slight on her, I can't see how she then continues. If she actually does an okay job, then she'll of course she'll carry on.
Yeah. But what is there for her to find, I guess, like you said? It's almost like she's put in this impossible scenario. So
yeah, I mean,
quite disappointing to see.
And again, this post-COVID bottomless pit of need for cash, and no one's got loads of money lying around they feel they want to spend more tax on.
We were speaking with Lord Dominic Johnson the other week, and he was saying that we just need investment and innovation in this country. I don't know. Do you think that is the route we need?
Oh, of course.
Obviously, investment is always nice, but is that where the government needs to be focusing their strategy, do you think?
I mean, investment is great. If someone comes into your country, lays down a load of money and says, go and make some stuff, that's fantastic. And the government have just announced yesterday this Gatwick Airport thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So that they can open a second runway. And of course, there's climate change issues around that. And people want to spend their money in terms of investment in a country that's going to give them a good deal. Now, people like countries who will do whatever you ask them to do. People like countries who will have no regulations, for example, because it's easier and cheaper to operate. like this. We've chosen to allow a second runway at Gatwick. We've listened to the climate change issues, but actually it's fine. It's money. Let's do it. Let's build. Let's get the jobs going, right? Because growth is their number one mission. Ahead of Ed Miliband and climate change. Growth is their number one mission. So investment's good, but you are in competition with other people for investment. What are you going to do to be a better looking asset, to be a better looking place to put money? How are we going to do it? And one thing we've always done in the past is innovation, right? We are, our universities are great. We've been inventors since way back when. We can do it. Dyson is growing strawberries all year round these days. That's innovation, and that's good if you like strawberries.
And that'll save our country.
It will save our country from importing strawberries.
That's true.
We're not in the EU, so there's always companies talking about leaving the UK to base themselves in Germany or France or wherever.
Did Dyson do that?
No,
Dyson.
No, Dyson himself, I think Dyson, who plays about being British a lot, I believe he is no longer based in the UK for tax purposes. But, I mean, that's, I think, don't sue me.
Watch out.
So we've got to be competitive. Yeah. I mean, of course, getting money in and luxury services and goods, and these are the things we can trade off, for sure. Innovation, intelligent thinking, yes. It's going to take a lot of that to get us where we need to be.
Do you think this trade agreement with Trump that's been announced during his state visit, do you think that's a start?
Don't know. They put out big numbers that I never know. Everyone benefits by having a really big number on the press release. So when they then have that really big number on the press release, it's hard to know if you're taking into account 10 years worth of stuff in 10 different fields, in 10 different whatever, then suddenly that big number gets cut and cut and cut and cut and cut and cut and cut. But it still is, I mean, I don't know. It's nice to think of it. We're spending money over there, they're spending money over here, everyone gets better off. Yeah, it'd be good. But I don't know.
Yeah, as Josh said, there's been an unprecedented second state visit from Donald Trump over here, and there are also protests against that with the JD Vance ball and the big Trump baby bubble again, all making their appearances. Do you think this is do you think that was the right decision to make, to pamper Trump to come over here again, or do you think it was just more of a bargaining decision?
I think both of those things are true. I think it was a bargaining decision. I don't think anyone pretend anything else. I think Donald Trump really, 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 really likes the royal family, right? And he if you want stuff from him, give him what he wants in return. I'm like, there were protesters, of course there were protesters, and I understand how infuriated people are with Donald Trump. But they played an absolute blinder. They invited Trump over when Parliament wasn't sitting. And then they held his stuff hidden away in Windsor. So we got all the things he wanted, right? Didn't have to see a single protester. The protesters had all the time and space they wanted in London to do their thing, to make their voice heard. And we got some trade. They had this big dinner. They had a joint press conference that he didn't say anything awkward over, or much awkward over. So I think there was a feeling that we got away with it, that it was all okay, and that maybe we got a bit of money out of it for our country. So yeah,
I feel really optimistic about our future now. I mean,
okay, gents, let's stop. Like we can't end on this. I do. Okay, so I am miserable about our economic station, where we are. I'm miserable about political engagement. I'm miserable about the world, even though I don't understand the world. But what are you? I'm going to say something I'm positive about. But Josh and Ethan, I want to know what you're positive about before we go. Something to fill our listeners, your listeners, in fact, your listeners' hearts with joy.
I mean, I'm really pleased that we got really good weather in the middle of September. I mean,
that is true. That is true.
I mean, it's factually correct.
We have got lovely weather. Politically, you know what? We've got Ed Davey with his marching band, and that is a lovely sight. And I was very happy watching that. So
if you just a quick plug, I suppose. I interviewed Ed Davey for the full conference, and we ate hot sauces together, and he was really fun, and he ate lots of hot sauces with me.
That's so cool.
And at one point, I couldn't ask a question because my mouth's too hot, and then. Yeah, my lovely camera person's chopped that bit out of the interview.
That's so funny. Were you like crying?
It was really hard.
I mean, without context, that must be quite enjoyable to see. As in, looks like Ed Davey made you cry.
Yeah, I mean,
if you just took like a screenshot,
he was a good man. I despair at the politicians. I mean, Ed Davey, sorry, because like you said, he brought a smile to your face in the marching band, and when I wanted to interview him, he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I said, "Hot sauce, yeah, let's do it. It's great." But the group of people who are trying, like here at us at SP, and and your podcast, and all these other different groups around CivTech groups and around the place who are trying to make a difference, trying to make it easier, trying to make it work better. If we just keep going. There are no easy answers. There are no easy answers in politics anymore, if there ever were. So it's never going to be easy. But if we can just make sure that people have the opportunity to talk and think and discuss, then vote, then we can actually be taking these decisions together and actually ending up with a solution we want to give a go. And every day, I hope that at SP we're doing that. And God, look at the list of people you've spoken to. You spoke to Neil Kinnock.
It was great,
incredible.
I mean, that's amazing. I sat next to his son once.
Stephen, yeah.
But what you're doing is amazing, and what we're doing is helping, and what so many different other groups are doing is making a difference, and that's what's going to get us out the other side of it, and that's positive.
That is
also the weather in September.
What a fantastic
example. It's undeniable.
But no, I think you're right, and it's good that we have these discussions, and particularly amongst young people, we need more young people engaging in these questions. We're about to go out into the world of work, and to be able to vote. Ethan, you can vote now. It's incredible. So yeah, we need more of these discussions. So thank you everyone that's listening, and thank you Tatton for encouraging these discussions as well with what you guys do at SP.
You're very kind.
Already made me feel more optimistic.
Hooray!
There we go.
It's clearly working.
Fantastic. Right, with a smile on all of our faces, thank you all for listening, and thank you Tatton for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Lovely people. Thank you very much.